There's a version of you that checks the phone 40 times before lunch, not for a text from your mum, not for a client email, for the like count on a post you spent 20 minutes writing about a launch that hasn't even proven itself yet, refreshing it the way some people used to check the stock ticker. You know the feeling. The screenshot of the funding round gets more attention than 3 months of actual work. The post about grinding gets more traction than the product itself. And somewhere in that loop, you start writing the caption before you've even finished the thing you're supposed to be proud of. Here's what nobody tells you about that loop. It never ends. Not at 10,000 followers. Not at your first million in revenue. Not when a reporter finally picks up your story. The founders who look the calmest online, the ones who seem like they've got it figured out, they didn't get there by winning the validation game. They got there by refusing to play it. And that's what this is about. Not another lecture on productivity. Not another list of morning routines. This is about the one shift that separates founders who build something real from founders who build a highlight reel. And it starts with something an old Roman emperor figured out 2,000 years before venture capital existed. Let's look at what's actually happening when you refresh that notification tab for the 6th time in an hour. You built a company because you had a problem you wanted to solve. Somewhere between the first customer and the first investor update, the goal quietly shifted. It stopped being about the problem. It started being about the perception. Are people watching? Are they impressed? Does the growth chart look steep enough in the pitch deck screenshot you're about to post? This isn't weakness. This is wiring. Humans are built to seek approval from the tribe, because for most of history, approval from the tribe was the difference between survival and getting left behind. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a village elder nodding at you around a fire and a stranger on the internet dropping a heart emoji on your post. Both light up the same reward circuit. Both feel, for about 4 seconds, like proof that you matter. You felt it at a demo day. 90 seconds on stage, a room full of investors staring at their phones more than your slides, and afterward you find yourself doing math you never meant to do. Counting how many people came up to you versus the founder who pitched right before you. Counting whose line was longer. That math is happening on autopilot, and it's stealing bandwidth from the only thing in that room that actually mattered, which was whether your product solves a real problem for a real person. The problem is the 4 seconds. Because after that, the high fades, and you need another hit, another post, another metric to screenshot, another comparison to whoever just raised a round bigger than yours. And the company underneath all of it, the actual thing you're supposed to be building, starts running on fumes while your attention runs on likes. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a startup founder. He ran an empire, which, if you think about it, had a lot more employees and a lot less patience for excuses. And in his private notebook, the one he never meant for anyone else to read, he wrote himself a warning. Stop wasting time arguing about what a good man should look like. Just be one. Read that again, but swap out good man for successful founder. Stop wasting time trying to look like a successful founder. Just build the thing that makes you one. That's the entire difference between the founders chasing validation and the ones who aren't. The ones chasing it are performing the outcome before they've earned it. The ones who aren't are too busy doing the work to bother with the performance. Think about the founders you actually respect, not the ones with the loudest feed. The ones whose product you use every single day without thinking about who built it. Odds are you couldn't tell me the last time they posted anything. Odds are they weren't trying to be seen. They were trying to be useful, and the being seen part happened as a side effect, not as the goal. That's not an accident. That's a decision. And it's a decision that gets harder to make the more followers you have, because the machine feeding you dopamine gets better at its job every single year. The apps aren't neutral. They're built by people whose entire salary depends on you checking one more time. You are not weak for feeling the pull. You are exactly the target the pull was designed for. Look around at your own feed right now. Someone you know just posted their raise. Bold headline, confetti emoji, a wall of comments telling them they're crushing it. And some part of you, the part you don't say out loud, immediately starts comparing your runway to theirs, your headcount to theirs, your logo wall to theirs. That comparison did nothing for your business. It didn't close a single deal or fix a single line of broken code. Warren Buffett, who has outlasted more market cycles than almost anyone alive, talks about the difference between what he calls the inner scorecard and the outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is what other people think of you. The inner scorecard is whether you can look at your own work and know, without needing anyone to confirm it, that you did it right. Founders who chase validation are living entirely off the outer scorecard, and an outer scorecard can be taken from you the moment the algorithm changes, or the market turns, or the press moves on to the next shiny name. An inner scorecard cannot be taken from you. It's the one thing in this entire industry that's actually yours. So here's the first real shift. The one that has to happen before anything else matters. You have to separate your worth from your metrics. Not ignore your metrics. You still need to run a business. You still need revenue and growth and customers who stick around. But your worth as a founder, your sense of whether today counted, cannot live inside a number you don't control. Epictetus, another Stoic who spent years as a slave before he ever taught a single lesson, built his entire philosophy around one idea. Some things are up to you. Everything else isn't. Your effort is up to you. Your discipline is up to you. Whether the algorithm decides to show your post to 12 people or 12,000 is not up to you. And the second you tie your identity to something you don't control, you've handed your peace of mind to a stranger's server. This is where most people nod along and change nothing. So let's make it real. Picture your last product launch. Picture the hour after you hit publish, refreshing, waiting, watching the number crawl up slower than you hoped. That feeling in your chest, the tightness, the low-grade panic, that wasn't about the product. That was about what the silence might mean about you. A founder who has actually internalized this doesn't stop launching. They don't go quiet and hide from the world. What changes is where they put their attention in that hour after launch. Instead of refreshing, they're already back in the work. Instead of measuring their worth by the response, they're measuring their day by whether they did the next right thing for the business, regardless of who noticed. That's not indifference. That's discipline. And it's the exact quality that outlasts every trend, every algorithm change, every platform that rises and falls while your actual company, the one you're building piece by piece when nobody's watching, keeps standing. Because here's the part that stings a little. The version of you that needs the applause to keep going is fragile. The version of you that keeps going with or without it is the one that actually survives the next 5 years. And in a world where most companies don't make it past year 3, survival isn't a small thing. It's the whole game. So if you've been feeling that itch, the one that makes you check the numbers before you've even finished your coffee, you're not broken. You're just running on an old operating system that was never built for the world you're trying to lead in. And what you're about to learn is exactly how the founders who look the calmest, the ones running circles around everyone still chasing the applause, actually rewired that instinct one decision at a time until quiet confidence became their default state instead of something they had to fake. So what do they actually do instead? Not in theory. In practice, on a Tuesday morning, when the inbox is full and the metrics are flat and nobody is clapping, the first thing you'll notice about a founder who has made this shift is that they've stopped narrating their work in real time. They build first and talk later, if they talk at all. Not because they're hiding something, but because the moment you start narrating a thing before it's finished, you start optimizing for the story instead of the substance. You start making decisions that sound good in a caption instead of decisions that are actually good for the business. Cut the narration and something strange happens. The decisions get better almost immediately because they're being made for one audience now instead of two. Seneca, writing letters to a friend nearly 2,000 years ago, kept coming back to one habit that shows up in almost every serious Stoic's life. He reviewed his day at night. Not a highlight reel, not a gratitude list for the algorithm, a quiet, private accounting. What did I do well today? Where did I let my temper or my ego make a call that my judgment should have made instead? He wasn't doing this for anyone else. There was no audience for that notebook. And that's exactly the point. Try building that habit into your week. 5 minutes before bed, no phone. Just a short, honest account of the day. Did you ship the thing you said you'd ship? Did you have the hard conversation you were avoiding? Did you make a decision out of fear of how it would look, or out of what the business actually needed? You'll notice something fast. The days that felt the best on social media are often not the days that show up well in that private accounting. And the days that felt invisible, the unglamorous ones spent debugging or doing payroll or rewriting a contract clause for the third time, those are often the days you're proudest of once you sit with them honestly. This is what an internal scorecard looks like in practice. It's not a mood, it's a system. And once you build it, you stop needing the outside world to hand you a verdict on your worth, because you're already handing yourself an honest one every single night. Here's the second thing these founders do differently. They rehearse the bad outcome before it happens. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, and it sounds heavier than it actually is. It just means sitting with the worst case on purpose, calmly, before you're in the middle of it, and your judgment is compromised by adrenaline. Before a launch, instead of only picturing the celebration post, picture the version where almost nobody notices. Picture the silence. Sit with it for 30 seconds. What would you do the next morning? If your honest answer is you'd keep building anyway, because the work still matters regardless of who saw it, then you've already diffused the thing that makes silence so painful. You took away its power in advance. You're not hoping for a good outcome and dreading a bad one anymore. You're prepared for either, which means neither one can knock you off your feet. Founders who skip this step are the ones who post a launch, get a quiet response, and spiral for the rest of the week. Their mood becomes a function of a number they don't control. Founders who've done the rehearsal shrug, adjust their approach if the data says something useful, and keep moving, because their sense of self was never sitting on that number to begin with. Third, and this is the one that surprises people most, they get specific and boring with their goals. Vague ambition is where validation chasing hides. I want to build something big gives your brain nothing to hold on to except how big other people's things look, which is why that goal always ends in comparison. I want to get this feature shipped by Friday, and talk to 5 customers about it gives your brain a finish line that has nothing to do with anyone else's feed. You either did it or you didn't. There's no scoreboard except the one in front of you. Picture 2 founders launching in the same month. One spends launch week posting constantly, checking engagement between every meeting, adjusting the copy based on which version got more traction, riding the highs and getting flattened by the lows. The other ships the same product, sends a short update to their existing customers, and spends launch week actually talking to the people using it, fixing what's broken, building the next piece. 18 months later, check in on both companies. More often than you'd expect, the quiet one is still standing, still growing, still solving the actual problem it set out to solve. The loud one either burned out or pivoted 3 more times chasing whatever got attention that quarter. Attention is not a strategy. It just feels like one, right up until the bill comes due. None of this means you go silent forever or stop marketing your company. That would just be trading one extreme for another, and the Stoics were never about extremes. Zeno himself said it's better to trip with your feet than with your tongue, meaning the damage from a rushed action is almost always smaller than the damage from rushed, unconsidered words. Post when it serves the business. Talk when it serves the customer. Just stop needing the post to serve your ego, because the moment you need it, you'll make worse decisions trying to get it. There's one more scenario worth sitting with, because it tests all of this the hardest. Someone comes after your company publicly. A bad review, a competitor taking a cheap shot, an ex-employee airing grievances in a thread, getting more replies than you're comfortable with. Every instinct you have will scream at you to respond immediately, to defend yourself, to set the record straight before more people see it. That instinct is the validation loop, wearing a different mask. It's about needing the room to see you the way you see yourself, right now, on someone else's timeline. A founder running on an inner scorecard handles this differently. They ask one question first. Is there anything true here worth fixing? If yes, they fix it, quietly, and let the fix speak instead of a comment. If no, they let it sit, not out of arrogance, but because they already know what they built and why, and a stranger's post doesn't get a vote on that. Give it a week. The posts that felt like emergencies almost always look small in hindsight. And the founders who didn't burn a weekend defending themselves online spent that weekend improving the thing being criticized. That's the trade every time. React and lose the hours, or build and let the results answer for you. Here's the practice to actually start this week. Before you publish anything, whether it's a launch, an update, or just a thought you want to share, ask yourself one question. Would I still do this if I knew for a fact nobody would react? If the honest answer is yes, post it, because you're doing it for the right reason. If the honest answer is no, sit with that for a second, because it means you were about to outsource your self-worth to a comment section again. That single question, asked consistently, does more to build the calm you're after than any productivity hack or morning routine ever will. It's not complicated, it's just uncomfortable, because it forces you to notice how often you were performing instead of building. Most founders never ask it. The ones who do end up running companies that outlast the trend cycle because they were never dependent on the trend cycle to begin with. You didn't start this because you wanted applause. You started it because you saw a problem and thought you could be the one to fix it. Every single day you let a stranger's opinion decide how that day felt is a day you handed away from that original mission. Take it back. Build the thing. Let the applause be a byproduct, not the point. If this hit something in you, do me a favor and share it with a founder you know who needs to hear it today, the one refreshing their phone right now, instead of doing the work in front of them. Hit like if you're done chasing the numbers and ready to build the way these people actually built. And if you want more of this, the kind of thinking that separates founders who last from founders who burn out chasing a feed, subscribe to Stoic Founder. There's a lot more where this came from, and none of it is going anywhere just because the algorithm has a bad week.